In this video, I'm going to be repairing a Sylvania DVD player VCR, and yes, this is a VCR, not a VCP, as it does have the record option combo unit. And pretty much what it is, a DVD player attached to a VCR essentially and stuff like that. You can actually switch back and forth once it's playing and stuff, because it just shares the same power supply, but they're two independent units. But the problem is with the VHS side, which is a common issue with the mode switch oxidizing. It causes the VCR not to know what mode or timing it's in, and it causes it to shut down and stuff. Very common issue with these. Now, I did service this probably about 3-4 years back, and I had to replace the DVD processing board because the capacitor, the SMD capacitors leaked out. And I also went ahead and serviced the mode switch, but because it's been sitting, it oxidized again. And also, probably my fault, I used silicone lubricant when I put the mode switch back together. Now I don't do that. I stopped doing that about 2-3 years ago, but back then I kind of, didn't know it was going to oxidize again and stuff like that. Now, it has lasted about a year or two, because I was using it for about a year and stuff, and it worked fine, but then it's been sitting, so it oxidized again, and it's doing the same thing it did before pretty much. So I got to tear it back down and redo it again. I'll show you guys how to do it so you can fix yours. Now what I use as far as the contact protectors is I actually use Deox now, which works much better. And then I haven't had no issues even when they sit and stuff oxidizing again and stuff. I have one machine that's going on 2.5 years, a recorder, and it's been flawlessly ever since. But you can see I serviced it because I went ahead and re-lubed the transport and everything. And this was the board I had to replace because these SMD capacitors actually went bad. And when they went bad, it actually ate through the inner layer because it's a multi-layer board. I couldn't fix it, so I ended up having to replace the whole entire board because I tried to. Couldn't figure out where that trace went, and it never worked right, so I just replaced the board itself. But this is what we're going to be servicing today. And unfortunately, you're going to have to take everything apart. So I'm going to go and strip that down. In order to take it apart, you got to remove the screws, obviously, for the front panel. You got to remove the 4 screws for the DVD drive. And then the 5 screws holding the transport in. Once you get the DVD drive out, there's actually this black thing right here. There's 2 screws holding it in. You got to remove that. And you got to remove also the one's holding the 2 buttons in. And I'll go and remove this, and I'll show you those screws where they're located at, so you can go and remove yours, and then you can lift the whole entire assembly out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, but I got to do it off camera because it's going to take a lot of disassembly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back with you once I'm done. Before I completely tear this unit apart, I'm going to go and show you what exactly it's doing before I go and repair it. And the reason for that is so that way you can see kind of the common symptoms that it does when the mode switch gets dirty. Now, not all the time, it's always going to be the mode switch. I have seen where the capacitors fail. I also have seen where the transistor on the main board fails. And also the 2 ICs that's on the capstan board that actually, is the motor control. That also fails too as well. So there's a few issues, but the most common one is the mode switch. So I'll go and show you what this one actually does, and it definitely is a mode switch on this one. Okay, so we'll go and turn it on. We'll put it on the VCR side, even though I'm not going to do video right now. And we'll go and put a tape in. In this case, it actually loaded. It didn't do that before, but let's see if it actually plays, and it played. Okay, so maybe exercising it actually works. I hope it actually is still broken. Let's try to go forward, and I'll hit the forward button. And yeah, there you go. And then you can see. And I hit the forward, and it doesn't want to do it. And there you go. And this is what it'll do, and it'll just shut off. And then as soon as I turn it on, it just ejects the tape, and that's the common issue. Let's go and try it again. So it does play, but let's see if rewind works. I'm gonna hit the rewind. And nope, no rewind. no nothing. So yeah, there you go. And then of course it's gonna shut down, and as soon as I power it back on, it's gonna eject the tape. And that's one of the main common issue. The other issue is that this head drum won't spin. It'll try to load the tape, or the capstan won't spin, and of course it'll eat the tape. And then as you pull it out, the tape will get stuck around here, and you gotta pull it out. So we're going to tear this down. First thing I'm gonna do is get this off here, and I'll be right back once I'm done doing that. So once you get the front cover off, you do have to remove this brace right here, which is 3 screws. And then you also, well, this one doesn't have the button. Some of them have the button up here, some don't. Depends on the model. The button probably, where is the power button? Let me go ahead and look at it right there. And yeah, I see it. See, it's actually right there instead. And it pushes down right there. Some of them they put right here. So it depends on which version of this you got. But if it does have one, you got to remove the screw there. And then you got to remove the screw there. And move this out of the way. Take the brace out. And then you want to remove the 4 bolt screws, not bolts, holding the DVD assembling, which is a separate assembling. There's 2 cables. This cable and this cable that you do have to remove. So I'm going to go and do that. And then we'll get to the next part. So went ahead and removed the DVD player assembly, and it's sitting right over there, and there's the 4 screws. So next screws you want to go and remove is these 2 screws here, and that's just the cover to cover the primary side of the power supply. So I guess stuff don't fall on the primary side of the power supply, or probably to keep people from poking their fingers on that side, I guess, if they're testing it or whatever. The other screws you want to remove are the 5 screws holding this transport. There's one right there. There's one down there. There's one there. There's one in the middle right back here where the head cleaner is. And there's one right there. You do have to remove those screws. And you also have to remove this black plastic piece where there's wires wrapped around. Those 2 screws right there. Otherwise, the board's not going to come up. Once you remove it, then you'll be able to lift this whole assembly out of this plastic housing. So I'm going to go and do that right now. And you do have to lift this whole entire thing with the board because there's 2 screws holding this transport to the board. So don't try to separate this from the board, otherwise you're going to break it. So once you have the transport with the main PCB board out, you want to flip it upside down. And then there's going to be 2 screws. There's going to be one right over here. And there's going to be one right under this flat flex cable that goes to the capstan board. It's going to be located right there. This is going to be a fine machine screw. And this is going to be actually a pretty much like a quartz screw right there that goes into the plastic. So you do got to lift this up a little bit. Enough to angle a screwdriver in there. Unscrew those. And then you'll be able to lift this board halfway out. Not all the way out. To do the other thing too is you can just desolder the cables and take the board completely out if you want to. But the easy way to do is just take those 2 screws out, lift it halfway, and then you'll be able to pop the mode switch cover off. So once you get done removing the 2 screws that's holding this transport to the PCB, you can lift this up enough. You can see that mode switch right there. And you can simply grab hold of it like this. Hold on, let me see if I can get it with one hand. And just unsnap that out. It's a little bit oxidized, but it's not as bad as before, but more the silicone than anything. And then you can see the contacts there. And what you gotta clean with a Q-tip, and you know, you could use a metal cleaner or deoxit or whatever, and just clean those contacts there. And you're gonna clean these wipers in one direction. You don't want to go side to side. You just want to go up lightly like that, and that's it. Because if you go side to side, you'll end up bending these wipers here, and then you'll damage it. So you only go one direction. And here, let me go and get a Q-tip and kind of show you, because I'm going to clean it off camera really good. But I'll go and at least show you how to do one of these without destroying it. And simply what you're going to do is you're going to hold it. And then you're going to go with the Q-tip. And you're just going to go like this. That's it. You don't want to go like this because you're going to bend them that way. And you don't want to go side to side because you're going to bend those wipers. And it's going to end up messing that up. So just go this way right here. And that's it. And make sure it's nice and shiny again. And then you got to go ahead and pretty much just clean those contacts there. What I use for it now is after I'm done cleaning it, I'll use Fader Lube because it actually, what do you call it, has a little bit of protective stuff on it and it lubricates it. And this stuff works the best because, like I said, I used it on one of my DVD recorder versions of this here, and I haven't had a problem since using this stuff versus using the silicone after I'm done cleaning. Now to clean it, I use a silver tarnish cleaner. You can buy that at any, hardware store or whatever it is, and I'll go and polish up the contacts really good. Some people, what they'll do is they'll also just rough it up a little bit and stuff like that. I find either method works. Just make sure it is nice and shiny. It's somewhat smooth. Don't make it too rough, and that it'll make good contact pretty much, and it'll work. So I'm going to go and do that now, and then I'll reassemble. I'll show you how to line it up with the transport, because you got to make sure this nub right here gets lined up with the gear on the bottom, the cam gear, and there's a slot where it goes in. Otherwise, obviously, the timing's going to be off, and that's not going to work. So let me go and clean. I'll put it back together, and I'll show you how to line it. So I went ahead and used tarnish remover and cleaned it as best as I could. So you can see there it's pretty nice and clean and shiny now. I went ahead and roughed it up just a little bit, but not much. And then the next thing you want to do too with these wipers here is take something that goes across all four and just bend a little bit up so it has a little bit more springing action, because from that sitting over the years, that will cause it to kind of sit back and not make as good contact too as well. So I always just give them a little bit of a nudge so that way it makes good contact with these contacts right there. And then what I'll do next is I'll go in and spray a little bit of layer of this into that switch. Just a little bit, enough to coat the top, but not enough to obviously fill it up. Just enough for the surface only. And then I'll just snap that back in, which is what I'm going to do right now. So after you get done snapping the wiper assembly back onto the contacts, you're going to take this and just rotate it a few times. Exercise it back and forth, probably about 20 times each direction. And then once you get done doing that, line it up with the silk screening where it shows the hole right there, like that. And then we're going to flip the board upside down, and I'll show you how to slot that into the actual, cam on the bottom. So you go and flip the board upside down the assembly, and you can see there's a peaking right there, and there's a little hole in that cam gear, and you're gonna line that nub into that hole when you go and place the PCB board on there, and that does the alignment. Otherwise, if you don't do that, then it's not gonna work right. So make sure that this nub where the wiper assembly is goes into that hole that you can see right there, and it slots in there, and then you can go ahead and put the two screws back to mount the PCB to the chassis. So it should look like this when it's aligned correctly, and you can see the nubs inside that cam gear right there, and also the alignment is going right through the board right there. And then you can go and put the two screws back and reassemble the machine and test it. So you want to go ahead and assemble everything enough for testing and make sure everything's plugged in and stuff like that. Otherwise, the machine won't power on and allow you to test it. You don't have to put all the screws back in there because you don't want to go and keep pulling out if you have to pull it out if there's another problem. Also, make sure, too, that these optical sensors, like the real spindle sensor, and also all that is cleaned up, and use Windex. Do not use, alcohol, otherwise it'll eat through and it'll eat through the coating. Same thing when you clean the laser, only use Windex on a Q-tip and just clean it lightly enough, because you don't want to take that coating off the lens and then it's not going to work, of course. You'll end up destroying it. So go and make sure everything's clean. Make sure that the tape sensors too are also not bent and that they're not obstructed. If you go ahead and do that, we'll go ahead and test it now. So I'm going to go and power this on, and the power button's right there. We're just going to go ahead and do a test, see if it actually fixed the issue. Let's go ahead and hit play, and it does do autoplay because it is a commercial tape. Well, also tab's not there too, so it knows it's, There, okay, and then we'll hit stop. And the thing that didn't work was, of course, forward Okay. Let's see if we actually get forward this time. And yes, we do. It is working. Yeah, so that was 100% the problem. We'll go and let it forward a little bit, make sure it doesn't shut off. That, you know, it's actually detecting real movement, which it would have shut off in 2-3 seconds anyway. And yeah, she is working now. Now if I hit stop, let's go rewind, and it wasn't rewinding before. Let's see if it rewinds, it doesn't shut off. Actually, I hit play. No, it's going. Okay, I must have hit forward again. Let's hit rewind. Wait, why is it going forward? Did I hit the right one? Oh, that's what it is. I was hitting the forward. Now it should work. Now I got my finger away from there, and there you go. I was gonna say, yeah, she does work, and we'll check to see the auto stop works and all that. So, yep, that definitely fixed the issue. And yeah, that's how these machines sound. This is the normal sound of it. Alright, so we'll go forward. Just test it one more time. And you want to do that before putting all the screws in, and then you end up stripping the threadings and stuff because it's going into plastic. So I always test the machines out before I put all the screws back in. Yeah, and that's normal sound. This is how these machines sound. Alright, stop. Let's go into play. Okay, we'll go into play. Not stop. There you go. Alright. And let's just test rewind again. And then we'll go and make sure the jeps, and then we'll button it up, and we'll see if we get a picture. Okay. Okay, and let's just eject it now. And there you go. It works nice and good. So I'm going to go get the brace back on there, the rest of the screws, and I'll be right back once I'm done. One note, when you get ready to put this front panel back on, make sure that this here is lifted up, because you see this right here? This got to catch underneath this here, so make sure you lift it up, and then that will ensure that the door won't get jammed. So we'll go ahead and put it on the monitor, which I went ahead and plugged into the receiver already. And we're actually going to go ahead and see pretty much if it actually plays back a video. So let's go and insert the tape. And yep, we got video. I turned down the audio just because I don't want copyright, but there is audio. So let's turn that back down. And actually, you know something? Let's just see how the fast search works. And yep, fast search works. Let's just go reverse search. And goes right into reverse search, no problem. And then we'll go back to play. Of course, that's the TV itself. But yeah, it is playing. So let's stop. Now let's go and go to the machine and test fast rewind. And then we'll go ahead and do a stop, and then we'll go fast forward. I'll let you watch it run. You can see it keeps the tape threaded through the head. I only got this to keep some light from going to the sensor. Alright, and then we'll just do all the way to rewind. And we'll test the DVD side to see if that works still too. You know DVD side was fixed a while back. Actually, no, something. Let's stop it there. And let's enter. We're actually having both playing at the same time. Actually, I gotta set the output to DVD. And yeah, it says no disc right now. So let's open it. And we'll go ahead and see if it reads the disc. There you go. Kept hitting the. You can see the disc spin up too right there, so it's still spinning up. Actually, you know something? Let's stop that real quick. Let's do that from the beginning because I know some people like. Okay. So we'll insert this so you can kind of see the operation at least. Let's see if we can get a better angle at it. Okay. And you hear the laser seeking and picked up the disc. And there you go. And I'm gonna have to drop a drop of oil on that spindle because it's a little bit loud. Let's see if we get any output. And there we go. Which the DVD worked properly before, so of course I did have to replace that board though. Come on, TV. Okay. And yeah, she's working. There's no reason to suspect otherwise, but we'll go and let it play through the menu. And I'm going to do a fast scan. Okay. And then we'll play. I don't know, do you need the remote for this? I guess you do. Alright, well, it does work. I mean, it worked before, so there you go. And then we'll just go ahead and eject this. Might have to put some deox in those buttons because I know they're kind of hard to push. But there you go. Let's just see how. Yeah, I might have to deox those. But it is working, so there you go. I'm going to go ahead and get the cover up, clean it up, and I'll get ready to go to the guy that wanted it. After I get done, of course, deoxing all the switches and stuff like that to make sure they work properly. But that's how you fix a mode switch on one of these, pretty much. So I went ahead and actually deoxed all the switches. So now it works without even barely touching the button pretty much. And we'll go ahead and let it play, and I'll show you what it does now. Now it actually plays, because the play button wasn't working at all. So there you go, it's loading the DVD, and you can hear it's also a lot quieter too because I actually put a drop of oil on the bearings on that spindle motor. And right now it's just loading it, so it's always a little louder when it's loading, but she is working now, so we'll go and let it go through that. And it takes a little bit. Okay. There you go, quiet down now. Yeah. She is working good now, and it does audio and stuff plays. Like I said, DVD player worked before. The buttons were hard to push, which was one of the main problems, so I had to take it back apart and just deox all the switches. But you can see there, I don't want to play on the audio, so let me turn that down. I got my bird screaming in the background because he wants attention. Alright, and then now if I hit the play, let's just show her there. Yep, now it actually works, so yep, the issue is fully resolved pretty much. And we'll go and let it just play the disc. Let's just skip. Yep. And you can see it plays back good, it skips good. I had it playing a movie for like a couple hours, so it is working good now. Alright, you can see there I can barely touch the switch and it'll open up. So yeah, it's fully functional now, so there you go. So that's another thing to watch out for. Make sure these switches are deoxed and cleaned. And then, right away, here's the old controller board. And this is what happened to the old to the old DVD processor board I meant, is that the capacitors leaked out. It damaged the traces because it's a multi-layer board. It ended up damaging one of the inner traces, and that board never worked, so I ended up just replacing it. But there you go, she's fully functional now.